A unique team featuring double Mega with Hippowdon was brought to the Japan Nationals Qualifier and was actually pretty close to being able to make it through. We're going to be trying out that team and seeing how well it can perform. This team that you see on your screen has some interesting tricks, and it was able to go 8-4 in the Japan Nationals Qualifier, which was really actually close to making it, only one win away potentially. We're going to be trying out and seeing how well it can perform, but first let's break down the team. So first Pokemon up is going to be the Hippowdon, which is an interesting choice because we don't usually see Hippowdon too much in the format, but it's a really bulky physical ground type Pokemon with a lot of HP and Yawn Disruption, which is pretty nice. The Sandstream, of course, gives the special defense boost to the Mega Aerodactyl, which is going to be a pretty key component for this team, as well as the Sandstream breaking like Focus Ashes, as well as Yawn just being very disruptive and forcing switch outs, which can be solid. So we have Earthquake High Horsepower, both ground coverage options to be able to hit through Wide Guard and single turret if needed. The Yawn again for Disruption and Protect to keep itself around. It has leftovers to get some HP recovery every time, and it's really just able to stick around, especially with Yawn. If they're forced to keep switching, you keep spamming Yawn, you'll get some recovery back every single turn. The investment on this Hippowdon is going to be maximum HP with Impish with a lot of physical defense. This allows you to live pretty much like Wave Crash from Basculegion. Even Adamant Wave Crash Basculegion with adaptability is like a roll on Hippowdon, but it's very, very much in your favor, where it's only like a 12.5% chance to KO you if they're max attack with adaptability, and then the rest in the special defense because you still want to be able to take attacks like Hyper Voice from Sylveon, some Heat Waves from Charizard, and more. So next Pokemon we have is going to be the Focus Sash Supreme Overlord Kingambit, which is pretty interesting because normally we're used to seeing Kingambit with Defiant, but if there aren't that many ways to lower the stats of Kingambit on the current meta game, then why not go with Supreme Overlord, which does give you a 10% boost for each of the fallen allies that the Kingambit is sent after. So we have this max speed, max attack Kingambit with the Adamant Nature because you want to dish out as much damage as you possibly can. And it can be really nice to clean up some end games with the Tailwind, especially with this Kingambit. It allows you to outspeed a lot of the format like the base 130s like Aerodactyl and the Mega Gengar. And it lets you at least speed tie with the Mega Delphox, I suppose. But you do have all the coverage options, of course. Iron Head for the fairy types like the Sylveon, as well as the big one, which is going to be the Eternal Floette. You have Kowtow Cleave for hitting with a strong Dark type move, Low Kick for the opposing Kingambits, and of course Sucker Punch because that priority is just too good to pass up. It's a mon that can be really nice, especially in endgames. Again, Supreme Overlord can give you potential 20 to 30% boost and really just allow the Kingambit to rip through teams, especially that are weakened in the endgame that were chipped. Next Pokemon we have is going to be the Sylveon with the Fairy Feather to help out and boost up its Fairy type moves. That Pixelate ability does transform all of its normal type moves into Fairy type moves with an additional 20% boost in power. And we have the standard moveset Hyper Voice for the spread normal type attack, Hyper Beam, which is going to be your super strong nuke option, Quick Attack for that priority, and then Detect to keep itself around over the Protect because it's less likely to get Imprison Detect options, where Imprison Protect is a common option. So we have a lot of speed, and this speed allows you to be able to speed creep the Pokemon that like are designed to outspeed like the base 110s under Tailwind. So this has a little bit of extra speed. A lot of Sylveons do run 95 sometimes, and this one just going like 1 point to speed creep that even further. You have a lot of physical defense to be able to just take attacks in general, being able to survive, I think, like Jolly Dire Claw from like Sneasel, for example. And then a good amount of special attack, which is just going to be the jump point, so you get an extra stat point boost in its special attack stat. So your Hyper Voice, your Hyper Beam are doing a lot of damage. Next Pokemon we have is going to be a Citrus Berry Sandveil Garchomp. And Sandveil is an ability that increases the evasion of the Garchomp, so it's less likely that they will be able to hit Garchomp while sand is up, so Garchomp can dodge some moves. We have Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Poison Jab, and Swords Dance. So Poison Jab able to hit the fairy types, especially like the Whimsicott that could be a little bit annoying. You have Earthquake for the ground coverage, Dragon Claw, which is able to hit opposing Garchomp and the same type attack bonus, and then Swords Dance as well. Greedy with no Protect on the Garchomp is definitely an interesting choice. We have max speed and max attack because a lot of the Garchomps have been going a bit more slower recently, so you're able to outspeed those Garchomps and really put on the pressure and still guarantee outspeed the base 100s. And of course, speed tie against opposing Mega Floette because +2 Poison Jab would KO the opposing Eternal Floettes if they have no bulk, so very useful there. And yeah, this Garchomp is going to be a mon that is able to set up on this team, which is able to take advantage of the yawn from the Hippowdon. Next Pokemon we have is going to be the Mega Aerodactyl with the Unnerve ability that prevents the opponents from consuming their berries with the Tailwind, Rock Slide, Dual Wing Beat, and Protect. Pretty standard Mega Aerodactyl. Rock Slide coverage, of course, really strong. Good into Charizard Y, which is solid. The Dual Wing Beat, which is able to help out with the Tough Claws boost, which is able to do a lot of damage into like Whimsicott, Sneasler, through their Focus Sash, and more. The Tailwind, of course, just going to be great speed control for the rest of the team, and then Protect to keep itself around. The EV spread is kind of an interesting one because we don't really see max HP plus max speed on the Aerodactyl. We have like no attack investment at all on this Aerodactyl, but really the idea of the Aerodactyl, the Dual Wing Beat usually KOs most of the non-bulky Whimsicotts as well as the Sneasers anyway with that Tough Claws boost. And then Rock Slide will KO the Charizard Wise anyway. So the idea is just to preserve the Aerodactyl to keep itself around so it can just go for chip damage. And of course you do have sand chip damage that does apply to the Hippowdon. You just get chip damage with this Aerodactyl in order to set up for the other Pokemon to be able to pick up the knockouts. EV spread wise, again, you want the max speed in order to be able to outspeed other base 130s while not Mega Evolving, because that's definitely an option. Or if they do Mega Evolve with like a Mega Aerodactyl on their own, then you have at least a chance to speed tie or outspeed them guaranteed. So this has abilities just to be able to survive stuff, especially with the Sand Special Defense boost from the Hippowdon. So we'll see if that is actually going to apply to our games today. Final Pokemon on this team is going to be the Mega Manectric, which is an interesting secondary Mega evolution, but it does get access to Intimidate. It is able to hit some Pokemon like the water types, which this team can struggle with hitting. So having an option to hit him with a powerful Thunderbolt or go for a Discharge with the 2 ground types as a spread electric type move that's immune, of course. And you do have Snarl to lower the special attack damage output of your opponent's side. Lightning Rod's also really cool because it's neat into like the Archaladon Rain matchup, where Manectric, of course, can snarl away the Archaladon, lower its special attack, and of course you'll be able to absorb the lightning attacks from the, well, with Lightning Rod, you are able to absorb the electric attacks from the Archaladon. So you draw it away, you don't take any damage, and you get a special attack boost on top of it. Can be very useful in those scenarios. EV spread wise, you do have with a max speed Mega Manectric to be able to outspeed, I guess, like just anything about those 135s that Manectric also will consider. And the high HP investment, I suppose, like you don't really need to do as much damage. You just really want to stick around with the Manectric, especially in those really tough matchups where you actually need to bring Manectric and kind of just bulk it out. So how to use the team? Well, a lot of it is either just going for like some pretty strong damage output, being able to just do a lot of damage utilizing the Sylveon and getting some good chip damage early on with Pokemon like the Aerodactyl, the Hippowdon, the Garchomp, and then trying to clean up with the King Gambit. That's probably one of the main modes you would probably say, especially because Hippowdon is just a generally good lead because of the fact that it's just really hard to be able to take out, especially with its high physical defense stat. You can go for yawns and be super disruptive while just being able to chip away at opponents' teams, especially with like a Hippowdon Aerodactyl lead, which the offer said is quite a common lead, especially with the special defense boost that Aerodactyl does get from the Sand being a rock type. So being able to kind of stick around on the field, get some chip damage, and then of course being super disruptive while your opponent is chipped away, forced to switch potentially because of yawn, you'll be able to build up damage and hopefully clean up with your remaining Pokemon, especially that Supreme Overlord King Gambit. So that's definitely another option, but of course you do have general other options as well. Aerodactyl plus the combination of Garchomp, King Gambit, or Sylveon can lead because you do have a fast Tailwind, and then you have some pretty good offensive pressure with Hyper Voice from Sylveon. You could go for a Swords Dance with Garchomp immediately, or you could just fire off an Earthquake or Dragon Claw to do some decent damage. Or of course King Gambit can lead, especially if you do want to take a KO with like an early Fairy type that the opponent can lead. It is definitely a pretty solid choice. You could also go with like other combinations as well, with like a fast King Gambit that can just Sucker Punch, plus like a combination with the Garchomp as well as the Aerodactyl against Trick Room teams. You could definitely lead something with like King Gambit plus Sylveon for the offense with Kowtow, Cleave, Iron Head, and Hyper Voice that does some pretty big damage to the slow Pokemon. Or you could of course lead Hippowdon with any of those Pokemon like King Gambit and Sylveon, so you can go for Yawn Disruption while getting some chip damage, and of course trying to build up towards the end game is definitely another contender as well. Hippowdon plus Garchomp, you could set up the Sand Stream, get the Sand Veil for the Garchomp, set up the Sora Sands, maybe force them to switch out with Yawn is definitely another option. Manectric, you probably don't bring against most matchups. I think it's only really useful against maybe like some rain teams and then some like bulky waters that like Aerodactyl maybe is not good in that matchup. So having the Manectric just being able to kind of have that lightning rod to snarl for the special attack drop can lead with like Garchomp, which can be effective, or of course having that intimidate with Sylveon could actually be pretty nice as well potentially. So there is that too. It's not like a super easy conventional team because most of your damage output is going to come from Sylveon as well as maybe the Swords Dance Garchomp or Kingambit in an endgame scenario. So those are probably the Pokemon you really want to focus on the damage, but otherwise you're trying to build up using Disruption and then chip damage. Of course, Aerodactyl that sticks around the field because of how bulky it is. The Hippowdon with Yawn Disruption and can get some decent damage with Earthquake and high horsepower. And then of course trying to set up with like Swords Dance Garchomp. If you'd like to check out the details of the team and the creator, I'll link them down below in the description. And if you would like to try out this team, there is a replica code right here. But we don't really see Hippowdon used too much in VGC. It's a really strong mon in singles, but not really so much in doubles. So let us see if Hippowdon actually has a niche, because bulky Yawn has been used in VGC quite a lot. So let's see if Hippowdon is good enough in this format to actually succeed. All right, we have Mudsdale, Oranguru, Torkoal, Glalie, Sylveon, and Clefable. So we have, looks like a hard Trick Room team with maybe Mega Glalie and Mega Clefable potentially, but we'll see here. All right, hard Trick Room, not exactly the easiest to deal with this team because it does have a lot of fast mons. All right. I think Kingambit definitely is going to be brought because this Focus Sash Kingambit should be able to put in a ton of work here. I think Kingambit Sylveon's a pretty good lead. There's not really much my opponent has for this specific combination. I'm actually debating about not bringing a Mega Evolution here because a lot of my fast Mega Evolution doesn't really do well in Trick Room. The Intimidate doesn't help out here immensely either because it's probably Inner Focus Mudsdale. And Glalie has access to Inner Focus before it Mega Evolves. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go with Sylveon Kingambit. I want to have Hippowdon on the back because I want to be able to change the weather from the Torkoal. And I think Garchomp should be pretty good here. The only thing I do have to watch out for is the Glalie is actually a massive threat. It's not easy to damage Glalie. And Mudsdale is actually kind of a problem because that thing does do a ton of damage. So let's see what we can do here. If they lead something like Clefable, I might want to keep it around on the field, but we'll find out. It's going to be Oranguru and Glalie, so very interesting lead here, as we do lead Sylveon plus Kingambit. Oh, I guess this could be Explosion stuff as well from the Glalie. I could definitely see it being Explosion, I suppose. I think my best play then is just to go for a Detect with the Sylveon and probably just go for a Kowtow Cleave into the Oranguru. Yeah, I don't mind going for that. I'm going to go for Kowtow Cleave into Oranguru, and I'm going to go for Protect with Sylveon. We're going to see Glalie Protect, which is going to be an interesting Protect. Okay. I could have doubled the Oranguru with Hyper Voice Kowtow. I don't know if that would have KO'd, but it would have maybe been better than this, but that should be okay here. Oh, they don't Protect. Were they just scouting for Protects from my Sylveon? I'm curious. Okay. Or are they going just for the Moody boost immediately? It's not Moody. It is Inner Focus. Huh. I wonder if I'm faster with my Sylveon. That's the question. Because I don't know. I think we still just go for Hyper Voice plus Kowtow. I don't see a reason not to go for it. Iron Head probably doesn't knock out the Glalie. I'm just curious. Is the Glalie faster than me? I feel like it probably will be faster than my Sylveon. I can't really switch into any Pokemon in the back though. If it is Explosion, I am just going to go for Hyper Voice and Kowtow Cleave though into the Oranguru. I might as well. We're going to see the Mega Evolution come out from the Glalie immediately. So we'll have access to the Refrigerate ability. Let's see what they decide to go for here. It is Explosion. I'm not surprised here. Okay, we do see the Explosion is going to do a pretty big amount of damage. So nice tech on my opponent's side. Yeah, KOs my Sylveon, does a lot to my Kingambit, but we are still going to be able to get some good damage to the Oranguru, which let's see if it's Cobra Barrier or not. As we do see Sylveon does go down. I didn't really have a good play there. Otherwise, maybe I should have went for the Double Protect, but it's still all right. Okay, they go for, it is Cobra Barrier. Okay, not too surprising. As we do get the Kowtow off into the Oranguru. Okay. So Telepathy Oranguru with Explosion Glalie. There is no other Mega that I have to worry about though in the back, but yeah, this is concerning. We are going to go out into our Hippowdon, I suppose? Yeah, it's like the only mon that can really switch in. Unfortunately, I don't have Protect on either Kingambit or Garchomp, so stalling out Trick Room is not going to be a likely option here. We will bring out the Hippowdon. We're going to see Mudsdale, which I'm not too surprised by. Gonna try to get a yawn off into the Mudsdale and probably just gonna go out into Garchomp with that Citrus Berry. Save the King Gambit because just having Mons around is still kind of valuable. Also, if it is Sylveon in back, which I will probably need the King Gambit for. So I'm gonna go for yawn and I'm gonna go out into Garchomp and then we'll see. Because I probably should be able to live 2 Earthquakes with both Hippowdon and the Garchomp. The question is like the next turn is gonna be a little bit concerning. But we do see Earthquake come out, which is not too surprising. Okay. Oh, but my Garchomp avoids thanks to Sandveil. So that is one benefit that I do have here. The Hippowdon actually just ate that up. Like it actually just ate that up. As we get a yawn off into the Mudsdale as they go for Instruct again. Okay, not surprising. And they're going to be another Earthquake. Do they hit this time into the Garchomp? They do. Okay, that's fine. Alright, Garchomp will eat a Citrus Berry, and we will get some Sand Chip into Rangru, as well as Leftovers Recovery. So this is not terrible, but it's obviously still, like, far from ideal, of course. They might expect Double Protect here, so I'm kind of curious if I can go for Yawn into Mudsdale again and try to cover the switch and maybe set up a... I don't think I would want a Swords Dance here. I'd probably just want to get some Dragon Claw damage into the Oranguru, which is probably better because I do need damage in Oranguru. Yeah, we see the Mudsdale retreat, which is not surprising because they probably expecting Double Protect. Sylveon reveals itself, which is probably... It's still dangerous, but not too bad. We do see the Protect from Oranguru, so I could have went all in committal and went for Poison Jab into the Mudsdale slot, but I don't think this is terrible. We do get a yawn off into the Sylveon, and we did go for a Dragon Claw attempt into what was that Oranguru. So I don't think this is awful. Again, it's still not ideal, but it's playable for sure. I think they're probably going to go for Instruct Hyper Voice here. I do have, again, the Sandveil on the Garchomp, which could bail me out of situations, but ideally they actually, like, I don't want them to go Mudsdale. I hope that this is the best case, but I do think I go for a... Do I Dragon Claw or do I go for Earthquake? Dragon Claw with Sand damage should knock out a Oranguru, but I might not want the Oranguru to go down here just yet. I'm going to go for Earthquake, because this covers Mudsdale coming in for the Sylveon, and then again, if they go for Instruct Hyper Voice with Sylveon, that's not too bad for me because Sylveon stays asleep. Then I get an Iron Head with King Gambit exactly, and then maybe I can beat the Mudsdale with the Hippowdon. So we're going to see the Hyper Voice come out, which is fine here. Yeah, it does knock out the Garchomp. Unfortunately, I don't get any damage off, but this is still pretty alright here. As they go for Instruct again, but of course, as I mentioned before, I did go for the Protect with the Hippowdon, so Hippowdon is going to be able to stick around on the field. Alright. I think this comes down to 2-turn sleep on Sylveon. Yeah, it's going to come down to 2-turn sleep on Sylveon because I get a King Gambit in and I can go for Iron Head to KO the King Gambit, and I can go for High Horsepower into the Oranguru, which should take the knockout. So we will go for the High Horsepower here, and we will go for the Iron Head into the Sylveon and get as much damage as we possibly can. Can we beat the Mudsdale in the back is a good question, but I think we should be able to 1v1 it with Hippowdon. But we'll see. We're going to see Sylveon actually retreat, which is really good for me. So Mudsdale's coming in and taking the Iron Head, and that's a pretty strong Iron Head, so I don't mind this. Oranguru going to Protect, which is super ideal because I can target down the Oranguru the next turn. I'm max speed King Gambit, so I know I outspeed the Oranguru for sure here. Let's see how much this Iron Head does. Oh, that's a 2-shot on Mudsdale, so we could actually have this be a very interesting... Actually, can High Horsepower just knock out the Oranguru? That's also a good question. Because if I do knock out, I do just win. Sandstorm, it's the last turn. Close. I think High Horsepower could knock out the Oranguru. It's the same type of attack bonus Hippowdon. I think it's probably worth going for. I don't know if the Mudsdale attempts to Protect here or if they just don't have Protect. Because I think that's the question. If Mudsdale protects and I KO the Oranguru with King Gambit, I win the game guaranteed. But I have no idea if they have Protect or not. They could be just 4 attacks. So I think I'm going to go for high horsepower and kowtow the Mudsdale. Because I still have outs if they do live high horsepower, but ideally we get the KO here. Okay, nice. We get the kowtow off into the Mudsdale. Mudsdale goes down, beautiful. And we do get a high horsepower off into the Oranguru. So that's huge. Just barely missing the knockout on that one, but all right. As we do see Trickling come out, all right. The Sylveon has now taken a sleep turn, and actually they can't instruct to bypass the sleep turn, I'm pretty sure. Because the Sylveon hasn't used an actual attack yet, so they do forfeit here. And ooh, okay, stalling out the Trick Room. A little bit difficult, but granted, we were still able. I think we managed some really good reads in the end game, and that's what paid off. All right, we see Vivian with Garchomp, Lopunny, Aegislash, Sylveon, and the Basculegion. So I'm kind of curious on what I should go for here. Aerodactyl looking pretty decent. Manectric's also not too bad. I gotta worry about Basculegion a lot, but overall, as long as it's not Ice Punch, I think on the Lopunny, we should be fine. What do I want to lead here? I kind of want to have a Kingambit in the back because of the Supreme Overlord we have here. I think Aerodactyl plus Hippowdon's not too bad. Get that Sand Special Defense boost on the Aerodactyl for Sylveon if Sylveon leads, which I think is a pretty good one here. And then I think in the back, I kind of like the Kingambit and the Garchomp. Sylveon's not too bad, but it's not like it really... The problem is the lack of speed is a little bit annoying. I guess what's concerning is going to be their Garchomp, but I should be able to get some chip damage, and they don't do exactly that much damage to my lead. I'm assuming I should be able to get some chip damage to put in Dragon Claw range. Let's see what they decide to go. Aegislash Lopunny, so this is actually a pretty good lead for me here. All right, as we lead Aerodactyl plus Hippowdon. I mean, my best play here is just to go for a Protect with the Aerodactyl. I don't Mega Evolve because if they don't know the team, they don't have a suspicion yet. And we'll go for an Earthquake. Yeah. They probably fake out Hippowdon and maybe the Aegislash goes for the Aerodactyl, which is fine. We get a bit of chip on Lopunny, then next turn we could go for Dual Wing Beat plus the Earthquake, or we could go for Tailwind. It depends on how fast this Aegislash is, I suppose. But let's see. They are going to Mega Evolve the Lopunny. That makes sense. My Aerodactyl is max speed, so I will be able to outspeed the Mega Lopunny the following turn, and I can threaten a Earthquake plus Dual Wing Beat, which is pretty good. I don't think I need Tailwind up this game, but we'll see. As we do go for the Protective Aerodactyl. And not protect the Hippowdon because we don't want to be vulnerable to the... I guess we could have protected the Hippowdon, I guess. But I thought at worst we were taking a fake out. Yes, they reveal Iron Head and target down the Aerodactyl. Okay, perfect. So we can go for Tailwind plus Earthquake here, which is actually pretty decent. Because we'll outspeed the Aegislash. I guess the question is that KO in Blade form. I don't think it's Sash Aegislash. I guess it could be, but I'm not 100% certain. I could go for Dual Wing Beat or I could go for Tailwind. But I could be losing my Aerodactyl here if I'm not careful. So I think I go for the Tailwind because I know Lopunny can't get a knockout into either of my Pokemon. And I think I just go for an Earthquake. Even if Aegislash goes for a Wide Guard or a King Shield, that's completely fine. I get some chip into Lopunny, and the next turn I can still threaten Dual Wing Beats plus Yawn into the Aegislash slot. Aegislash gonna stance change, so I could have went for the Dual Wing Beat KO, but this is still fine. Like a Dual Wing Beat Yawn would have been really nice here, but I wasn't sure how aggressive my opponent would play because I don't think it's Sash Aegislash, but just to be safe, I didn't want to lose Aerodactyl for no reason here because they can go for Encore, which is fine, but it doesn't really change too much. I still get a decent Earthquake off for some pretty big chip damage. Then next turn, I'm kind of curious on what I want to go for. Maybe Garchomp angle? Garchomp seems all right. Earthquake into the Lopunny. Not bad damage. Because, like, Garchomp... Yeah, Garchomp's still in a pretty good spot, I'd say. I'm just going to go into Garchomp. I can dodge because of the Sand Veil, and I'm going to go for a... I think high horsepower. I don't have to KO the Lopunny immediately. I think I just go for the Aegislash and get my chip to put in range of Earthquake range guaranteed, which I think is probably better. Yeah. I could go for Earthquake again, but the extra damage on Aegislash could matter. So I'm going to go for High Horsepower. Granted, I probably should have went for Earthquake looking back at it, but I still think that this is pretty acceptable. Garchomp going to come in. Oh, they have Ice Punch. And they go for it into Hippowdon, but that did nothing to Hippowdon. Okay. Sure. Okay, that's really unfortunate, but at least, I mean, yeah, that's really unfortunate. I want to burn these freeze turns on the Hippowdon because if I wake up, I'm in a great spot. I'm just going to go for a Dragon Claw attempt into the Lopunny, and I'm going to go for I think a Yawn attempt into the Aegislash. Because I could Earthquake switch to Aerodactyl, and I feel like my opponent should know about that potential option. So I think they'll likely go for King Shield here, and maybe Lopunny retreats. Ideally, Hippowdon wakes up, gets the Yawn off. We do see the Lopunny retreat. Vivian? Basky Legion. Okay, so I get a free Dragon Claw off into that slot, which is still pretty good. And they did go for Stance Change. So if we unfall here, really good turn. If not, it's not the best, but it's still like playable, I suppose. We get a Dragon Claw off into Bask. With the sand damage, I should KO it with the next Dragon Claw. If it's not Citrus, it's not Citrus. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go for Dragon Claw and Yawn. And ideally, we get the Yawn off with the Hippowdon. I didn't think it was Ice Punch Lopunny. Granted, I don't think they were going to Ice Punch the Aerodactyl. At worst, they were going to close combat. I think the Aerodactyl over Ice Punch. But Ice Punch was definitely not what I was expecting there. Okay. We get Dragon Claw off. We KO the Basky Legion. Perfect. So Bask is gone. That's the biggest threat to Hippowdon, unironically. So that's really nice here. And we do unfall, and or I guess we fall out. I don't know the terminology. We get the Yawn off into the Aegislash. Perfect. So the Aegislash will go to sleep the next turn. They can't KO my Hippowdon. They go for the Garchomp. Does this KO? Probably. It's a bit stronger than Iron Head. Yeah, but that's fine. I get a free switch to my... I do get a free switch to my Aerodactyl, or I get my King Gambit in. Granted, I would probably just want to go Aerodactyl. There's really no reason for me to ever risk King Gambit here. So we'll go out into we'll go out into Aerodactyl. Are we okay with trading Aerodactyl for the Aegislash potentially? I think it is probably worth it. Okay, Garchomp reveals itself. So that's the last Pokemon, which is pretty alright for me. Yeah, because they can't really break through the Hippowdon right now. They probably switch out to Aerodactyl. I kind of want to dual Wing Beat the Aegislash slot and go for a Yawn into the Garchomp. I could also go for Tail and Earthquake, which is also pretty acceptable here. A lot of options. Depends on if I think Aegislash is going to switch out or what gives me the best reward here. I think Tail and Earthquake is pretty fair game because unless this Garchomp has setup, I shouldn't be too worried about it. So I'm going to go for Tail and Earthquake. If they give me Aegislash, it's like super risky for them. And yeah, they are not going to risk the Aegislash, so they go into Lopunny, but I get a free Earthquake off, so it's still not too bad. Because next turn I can just click Rock Slide Earthquake, and there's not really much they can do, so I think that's completely fine. They go for Rock Tomb and Arrow, which is cool because I do get the Tailwind up regardless. All right. I was about to say the Rock Tomb did a lot of damage, and it is a crit. Okay, I was about to say that did way more damage than I expected. All right, we get a Earthquake off, which kind of stinks because that means I'm in Dragon Claw range guaranteed. I think I was out of Dragon Claw range if that didn't happen, but sure. I am unfortunately 1 point slower than Lopunny with my King Gambit, but that's to be expected. I think I just Rock Slide Earthquake or I Protect EQ. Both are reasonable here. I think I just go for Rock Slide Earthquake. Yeah, because if they fake out one, the Lopunny gets KO'd by the other. Exactly. Please hit. Nice. Okay, we specifically need to hit the Lopunny, and we had inaccurate moves no matter what. Going to be the same accuracy into the Lopunny slot, so might as well just get some extra damage on the Garchomp and maybe get a flinch. Nope, Rock Tomb. I could have went King Gambit, but I don't think it's really necessary to at that point. If this is Scarf, Rock Tomb, Garchomp, the game is also just sealed at this point because now I just get in my King Gambit, and I'm curious if I double up the Aegislash slot. Supreme Overlord here is pretty good. Yeah, Aegislash comes in. They really can't break through the Hippowdon, though. Like, they really cannot. I'm going to go for Kowtow into the Aegislash, and I'm just going to go for a Yawn into the Aegislash. This covers for King Shield, but this also covers for if the Aegislash decides to attack as well. Because, like, let's say they go for King Shield Earthquake. I get the Kowtow. Oh, wait, I'm Supreme Overlord. I'm not Defiant, so I do get an attack drop. Okay, but it's still fine, because Hippowdon should still be good here. Yeah, they go for Protect Earthquake, but granted, I don't think this does much damage to Hippowdon regardless. Yeah, a lot of damage, but that's acceptable. I'm pretty sure I beat the Garchomp 1v1 with Hippowdon. Okay, get the Yawn off. Do I go for the Kowtow into the Garchomp, or do I target down the Aegislash? I think I always go for Kowtow and the Aegislash to ensure it's in Earthquake range. And we protect, and then we can go for Earthquake. I'm pretty sure Hippowdon wins this 1v1 against the Garchomp. I'm like pretty sure. We'll see. But I am pretty sure that we do, as we get a Kowtow off into the Aegislash. Good damage. They go for Dragon Claw and Hippowdon. Oh, did they target the King Gambit instead with Aegislash? Poltergeist. Oh no, they just hope that. Okay, that's nice for me actually. Because now I get extra damage with King Gambit, and they also don't get a single target Earthquake off. So now I can go for a few different options here. I could Sucker Punch the Aegislash. I could Sucker Punch the Garchomp. I think we go for a Sucker Punch into the Garchomp, and we go for a Yawn. Because the only way to knock out King Gambit is through an attack. I could actually. With the Earthquake themselves, that's fine. I think my best play is just to Kowtow the Aegislash then. Because they can't knock out the King Gambit unless they have Stomping Tantrum, or they go for a Self-Earthquake, but they knock on their own Aegislash, and then they get a Yawn off in the Garchomp, so I think that's still the same play. I think I always go for Kowtow to KO the Aegislash. They're asleep. They go for the Earthquake, and it's a Self-Earthquake here, so they will knock out their own Aegislash, and Hippowdon absolutely eats that Earthquake. And now we get a Yawn off into the Garchomp, and then we protect, get more lefties, and then Hippowdon will just 1v1 the Garchomp. So I feel like I'm playing some singles over here, but I think the only thing that's single is this singular win right here, as we will be able to probably win the 1v1. They can't Rock Slide Flinch Me, which is nice, because they have Rock Tomb on the Garchomp. But yeah, we just protect here, then we Earthquake spam, and we should be good. Because I'm pretty sure if it's just Berry Chomp, 2 Earthquakes won't knock out, but potentially 3 do. And all I need is some turns with sleep. If it's Rock Tomb, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, why are they going for Dragon Claw? Earthquake's always stronger, but I guess you always know that I'm clicking Protect here. But I feel like if I mess up and don't click Protect, you should go for Earthquake crit. You have enough power points to do it, but yeah, now I just go for Earthquake here. Single target Earthquake into the Garchomp should do. I imagine this does like 35, 40-ish %. Let's see. I mean, I did 35 without the. Yeah, it does about that range. It is Citrus Berry Chomp, which is not too surprising. Now I just go for Earthquake again, and I go for Protect. Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure I'm out of 2 Earthquake ranges from this Garchomp anyway. I guess I could go for Yawn Spam. Actually, maybe Yawn was the better play. I think Yawn Spam was better because I get leftovers if I fail. And if they wake up, I just Protect to get them back to sleep. Yeah, this was a misplay. I should have definitely went for Yawn here. Yawn is definitely the correct play here. Okay, never mind. They stay asleep, so we're guaranteed, I suppose. We go for the Earthquake here. And I guess if the Chomp for some reason has Stomping Tantrum, but if they had Stomping Tantrum, they should have went for it before, right? I just Protect the Hippowdon. The Garchomp guarantee wakes up. The attack goes into the Protect and I Earthquake, but yeah, I don't think the Garchomp has Stomping Tantrum on this team. So nice, Hippowdon just really walling my opponent's team. All right, we have a crazy team. This is Frostlass, Tyranitar, Whimsicott, Starmie with Meowscarada and Tauros Blaze form. So We have three potential megas, Frostlass and Starmie, but it should always be Frostlass and Starmie are megas. I guess Starmie could be viable without a mega. And I guess it could be double Blizzard spam, I suppose. I actually really want to lead King Gambit, which is, I'd say not a lead you want to generally do with this team, but it might be one of the better ones here. Sylveon's actually a pretty good lead offensively as well. I gotta put respect in Meowscarada because they generally tend to run Scarf, so that would threaten my Aerodactyl. Garchomp's okay, but not necessary. Is this a Manectric game? Probably not. The dual wing beat just hits so hard in this game. I think we go with Sylveon King Gambit. I always just generally like the lead Hippowdon Aerodactyl in the back because I think Whimsicott probably leads, but I don't know what they lead it with. Sylveon's just a generally tanky mon. It should be able to take it. It'll probably require a double up to at least knock it out. And some of these Pokemon, even with the double up, can't knock out Sylveon. So I think it's pretty safe. And then paired with Focus Sash King Gambit, I should be able to get some pretty decent brute force damage wise. But let's see. Gonna be Meowscarada and Starmie. So I mean, I am correct here, where I am going to be able to threaten a lot of damage here. I could go for Sucker Punch plus the Hyper Voice here, and that would probably do a ton of damage here. If they have Low Kick, they have to go for Low Kick in the Gambit. I do have Focus Sash in mind. Actually, it's funny. I could have just let Aerodactyl, and it would have been crazy here, but let's just go for a Hyper Voice, I suppose, and a Sucker Punch. Only way I think I get punished is if they go for Aqua Jet immediately, which I don't know if they would go for that, but we'll see. If they go for Aqua Jet, it depends on what the Meowscarada does. But either way, again, you could only knock out the King Gambit really with the combination of Low Kick here. And if they go for Low Kick, Protean will activate. And if it's not Protean, then it's still like a super effective Hyper Voice no matter what because it's a Dark type. And then if it transforms thanks to Protean, it will go to a fighting type, so should be okay for Sylveon to just threaten the super effective Hyper Voice damage, and once I get that damage, Aerodactyl should be in a pretty good position. We're gonna see the Protect from Starmie, that makes sense. As we Sucker Punch attempt, this is Low Kick. Oh, they Flower Trick the Sylveon, okay. I mean, that's fine. That shouldn't KO. Yep, Sylveon actually took that a lot better than I expected, surprisingly. As we go for the Hyper Voice here. I wonder if it's Scarf or not, because usually it should be. It's not an well, we already know it's Protean. Okay. Can I just go for a Detect Kowtow? Like, the lose conditions here would be Aqua Jet from the Starmie. If I went for Sucker Punch, plus they would go for a... I just don't think you ever Starmie like that. I really don't. I also can Sucker Punch Meowscarada, so there's not an easy line for my opponent to go for. Yeah, they switch out the Meowscarada. That makes sense. And I assume Aqua Jet is going to go out into the Sylveon. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we note that the Tauros is probably going to be one of the Anger Point ones. We didn't see Intimidate come out, and Cut Shoe's not really an ability run, so they did go for the attack into the Sylveon with the Aqua Jet. I do KO the Starmie, so I do get that play right, but yeah, I didn't really think they had a way to punish King Gambit. Now I have a fantastic position, actually. Because I'm not too worried about Tauros with dual Wing Beat Aerodactyl plus the plus my Hippowdon back, so all I have to do is just double threaten the Meowscarada. We're going to go for a Quick Attack Sucker Punch, which should KO because we're not intimidated again from the Tauros. So this should KO the Meowscarada before I can go for any of those shenanigans with the Flower Trick. They might think they could live Sucker Punch, but they don't live Sucker Punch plus Quick Attack. I guess they could double out Meowscarada, but that's fine. Because that means that King Gambit's still around on the field regardless. So I do get the Sucker Punch off into the Meowscarada. Yep, it barely survives, but the Quick Attack will finish off the Meowscarada for sure. And now we have a 4v2, unless they take the KO into my Sylveon with the Tauros. They go for Raging Bull into the King Gambit. That's fine. Okay. I guess next turn I'm going for Hyper Beam and Sucker Punch. Probably. Oh, Tyranitar is their last Pokemon. Okay. I think they just lose to Hippowdon at this point. Trying to think about what gets me the best momentum here. Probably just going for the double up in the Tyranitar, I imagine. Is it greedy to click Hyper Beam or I guess Hyper Voice is fair. I think I just go for Hyper Voice and I go for low kick. Or I Sucker Punch the Tauros. Nah, I'd rather low kick. I'd rather low kick for the damage. They go for Rock Slide, yeah, because if they don't take the knockout King Gambit and I outspeed the Tyranitar, if it's a slow Tyranitar. Okay, it's a fast Tyranitar. They go for double Rock Slide, that's fine. I do not mind that. King Gambit goes down, but that is completely acceptable. I guess I could have went for Sucker Punch for extra damage, but at this point, like, it shouldn't matter too much. Curious if the Tauros lives Dual Wing Beat. I kind of doubt it. I guess it could be Citrus. I still don't think they can break through Hippowdon, regardless. They can't eat berries, which is actually kind of impactful, but only if I was going for Dual Wing Beat in regular form, but I definitely do not KO the Tauros without it. Okay, it is a fast Tyranitar though, and I mean a fast Tyranitar. I think double protect is pretty safe just to get the Tauros a little bit more chipped, and then we go for a Yawn into the Tyranitar plus Dual Wing Beat. Dragging this Tyranitar is not really a thing. If it is a thing though, I guess I would be scared of it, but we'll see if it is. I don't think it should be. I don't think you can really drag. Okay, yeah, and we also scout for the Tauros Protect, which is also something I considered, so this is good. All right. What does Tyranitar do? Rock Slide, perfect. Aerodactyl probably lives one Rock Slide just because we're max HP Aerodactyl. And we'll go for Yawn and Tyranitar. So we're gonna go for Dual Wing Beat into the Tauros, and we're gonna click Yawn into the Tyranitar. If we land a Dual Wing Beat, we should KO the Tauros with the Tough Claws, I think, after the chip. I mean, Tauros has some decent defense, but this is Tough Claws Aerodactyl. The only thing is I just don't have attack investment, so I'm a little bit worried if this doesn't KO. I think it really depends on if this is Citrus Berry Tauros. But we'll see if it is or not. Well, I missed Dual Wing Beat, so that's not good. I have to fight through multiple Rock Slide flinches now. This became not great. Please get the Yawn off. It's to be expected, but I think this might be game losing because they have access to knockoff on my leftovers on Hippowdon. I don't know if Hippowdon can beat the Tyranitar by itself. I need to get as much leftovers recovery as possible while I have access to it. Unless the Tyranitar is just like slow Scarf for some reason, but there's no reason why your Tyranitar should be slower than Tauros if that's the case, because if you're running Scarf Tyranitar, you should be faster. Okay, they go for Protect. I wonder if I can get an Earthquake off. Or should I just go for, yeah, they go for knockoff to get rid of my leftovers. Is Yawn the best play or is it Earthquake? I also don't know. Oh, well, if the Tauros has Rock Slide, it's probably Flip that's close combat, right? Then it's probably better for me to Earthquake and KO the Tauros while I have access to KOing it. Yeah, I think I go for Earthquake here. Okay, they go for Rock Slide. Knock off. That actually did a lot less than I expected. Okay, really good Earthquake. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's going to be enough to win the game, because it was Citrus Berry Tauros though. Okay. It was actually Citrus Berry Tauros. Do they protect the Tauros here to get damage with the Tyranitar? Hippowdon could win, but the margins are super slim. Because I don't know how much damage they're doing with Raging Bull or Close Combat plus the knockoff follow-up. It's really a shame. One miss and one flinch really kind of sealed it. If any of those didn't happen, I got the damage into Tauros, or I got the yawn off in Tyranitar, then I could prevent my knock or the leftovers from getting knocked off, and I could get an Earthquake off if that's the case. Or if I got the extra damage to just put the Tauros into range of Earthquake on that kind of turn, yeah, it would have been really nice. But they go for close combat immediately, sure, and knock off. Low kick, okay. How heavy is a Hippowdon? I actually don't remember the base power of low kick, but we go for Earthquake regardless. If I read Tauros to protect, maybe it was better to go for yawn, but at this point, like if they get 2 close combats off, it's just over anyway. So I think I go for Earthquake here. They go for protect, all right. I think I could still win depending on like how much the Tyranitar is actually doing to my Hippowdon. I think we're in close combat plus low kick range, unfortunately. Man, unfortunately, that's just some bad RNG. That is some bad RNG, but what can you do? I guess, like, what? To get around that, it was Tailwind Earthquake. I guess if I Tailwind Earthquake, it might have been better. But the thing is, I might not have outsped the Tauros. And even if I didn't outspeed the Tauros, then I could still have gotten Rock Slide Flinch. So I don't think there's a way to dodge RNG there, unfortunately, for me. I think I needed to yawn the Tyranitar that turn, though. I think, yeah, I need to yawn the Tyranitar the last turn. If I got a yawn off in a Tyranitar, I could protect the Hippowdon, go for a 2-turn sleep with on the Tyranitar, and then Earthquake twice. Yeah, that was the better play. So I guess I did technically have outs, but could have been, you know, avoided if we didn't have both of those unfortunate scenarios happening. But that is Pokemon. That is Pokemon, unfortunately. All right, we have the Feraligatr, Incineroar, Sinistcha, Kingambit, Skarmory, and Sylveon. So we got 2 potential megas, both really uncommon with Skarmory and Feraligatr. Very interesting megas. Why does Manectric seem really good here? I actually think Manectric seems really good here. Oh my goodness. Manectric Sylveon seems pretty decent. For the most part, I do not mind that. Or I lead Kingambit, but if they lead it instant, it's a bit concerning. So I think I just lead Manectric plus Sylveon. I think I bring the Kingambit for sure, because I think Kingambit with low kick and Kowtow plus Ironhead pretty good into Sylveon, Kingambit, and Sinistcha on their own. And then is it Garchomp or is it Hippowdon back? I kind of want to try out Hippowdon over Garchomp, because I definitely could see myself getting into situations where Yawn is a bit more impactful. And I don't know if the Feraligatr has a move that can one-shot the Garchomp. It might, so I don't think it's worth bringing. We'll see what they decide to go here with. Feraligatr instant, okay. Versus Sylveon and Manectric, okay. I think even if they go Kingambit, my best play is still to click Thunderbolt into the Feraligatr, because even if they go out into the Kingambit, it's either they take a Hyper Voice or they're taking a Thunderbolt, and I need to make sure Sylveon doesn't take too much damage from like a Waterfall turn 1. So I'm going to go for Thunderbolt immediately into Feraligatr just to get damage into it, and then I'm going to go for a Hyper Voice. This is probably fake out Sylveon Dragon Dance with Mega, that's what I'm guessing. If they switch out Feraligatr, it's taking a bunch of damage, whatever's coming in. Yeah, like even if the Gambit comes out, I'm still getting a bunch of damage into Kingambit, so that's fine. Like again, I was either getting a pretty decent Thunderbolt off or a Hyper Voice that was doing a lot of damage. And I guess it kind of depends on how fast the Gambit is on this team, because I have fast Sylveon, I have fast Gambit myself. But we'll see. This is fake out on Sylveon. Yep. Cool. And here is a Thunderbolt into the Gambit. Good damage. Para. Okay, that helps with determining to make sure I'm faster than everything, I suppose. I have no idea about the speed order, though. Alright, so that's not bad here. Do I just go for Thunderbolt plus Hyper Voice again? I don't see a reason not to. They could Sucker Punch, but I mean, I might as well just go for it, I'm pretty sure. I might even live a Sucker Punch because they're not black glasses, most likely, I'd assume. I'm just gonna go for Thunderbolt Hyper Voice. If they protect, that's fine. I get free damage into the instant, so that's pretty alright here. Okay. I mean, they could go out into Sinistra, but even if they go Sinistra, like, Hyper Voice is still doing a ton of damage to them, so I'm okay with this. Parting shot into Manectric. Okay, that's cool. I guess that means this is Sinistra, right? Yeah. I don't think they're targeting a Manectric. I think they're targeting down to Sylveon. I don't know if this is Trick Room though. Thunderbolt Hyper Voice would still probably threaten the KO. So, you know, I'm going to discharge and I'm going to go for Detect. Let's see if this is Trick Room Sinistra or not. Because I am pretty curious if it is. I think they're probably just going to focus down to Sylveon and Rage Powder, yeah. That was my assumption. And Discharge does put the King Gambit into range of Discharge Hyper Voice. So I can go for that play the next turn if I want to. I think. Did a little less, but yeah, it is Iron Head. Okay, that's not too surprising to me. Leftover Sinistra, interesting. I think I'm just gonna go Hippowdon here, because if they protect, it's okay, because I get some decent damage off. I think I just go for Hyper Voice. Plus swap into my Hippowdon. I could go for Discharge Hyper Voice as well. That could be a play that I could make, but I'm not sure if that's the correct play. Yeah, because Protect Trick Room or Protect Life Dew seems likely to me, so I felt that this was worth it. Okay. Get a Hyper Voice off for some pretty big damage. The leftovers will negate, or the sand will negate the leftovers recovery. It is Trick Room, okay. Good feeling. Man, the pair actually is hurting me now because I would have loved to set up a yawn situation, but I guess it's acceptable regardless. Do I want to yawn or do I just want to click Earthquake? I probably just want to click Earthquake Protect. Actually, they're never Rage Powdering here, right? It's probably Matcha Gotcha. I just don't think High Horsepower KOs the Gambit, but I mean, I might as well attempt it, right? And if they Rage Powder, then we get to find out some info about like what they suspect here. Okay, Sinistra retreats, which is nice. Incineroar makes sense, okay. I mean, I'm still getting some decent high horsepower damage, so I'll take it. They get paralyzed. I think it was probably Iron Head though. As we see, high horsepower does some decent damage to the Gambit. Okay. I mean, these are interesting turns. I mean, here's the thing. We saw the Gambit, unless you don't have Kowtow or you don't, if you don't have Kowtow, you just fold to my own Gambit. So I think my best play is just to set up a high horsepower again into the Gambit slot and just hard swap to Gambit. Like, I'm pretty sure my King Gambit is just going to be really big here because they shouldn't have a way to touch the King Gambit with their King Gambit, it looks like. If they go for Fake Out, that's fine. They go for Iron Head. Yeah, that's acceptable. Flare Blitz is going to do a lot to my King Gambit. Unfortunately, that's like the only concern here. I don't know if there's Citrus Berry on the Incineroar. It probably is likely. Can I afford to take damage on anything? I really don't need Manectric anymore, but at the same time, I don't want to give their Manectric a boost. This could be Protect Flare Blitz, or there could be some other plays that could come into option here. I think I'm going to high horsepower Sucker Punch the Incineroar and just hope it's not Citrus and hope the Sucker Punch into -1 high horsepower gets it. Oh, they did not protect the Gambit at all. Okay, interesting. They would have given me the Gambit. It's Citrus Berry on the Incineroar, so I got the play wrong pretty bad. Kowtow. It shouldn't do too much. Did a lot, but it's like not crazy damage. High horsepower. Unfortunately, not enough to KO the Incin. Flare Blitz, the recoil KOs the Incin at the very least. So I guess this is still, I mean, yeah, this is still fine. Because Trick Room's over and now Hyper Voice plus high horsepower is threatening. Although I'm not really sure how well I'm going to fare against the Unironically, dealing with the Feraligatr might be the toughest part. We go to Sylveon. The problem is, I think they go Sinistcha here, and then they probably double out into... Oh, no, they went for Alligator first. Okay, interesting. Is this a full-on Trick Room team? I can't tell. I think I live Kowtow. It did about... I think it did 115. So I think I live. I think I go for Yawn into Feraligatr, and I just go for... Do I go for Detect or do I go for Hyper Voice? I feel like the Sylveon Protect is so obvious. But if I lose Sylveon, I just lose the game. It's kind of a read here, but I think I'm going to Detect and hope that they go for Kowtow or go for Iron Head into Sylveon and maybe like a situation into Hippowdon. They went for Protect. I don't know why they Protect. This is the last turn Trick Room. Did they double Protect? I'm shocked that they went for a double Protect if that's the case. Okay. They didn't Mega Ball, but that makes sense because they didn't want to take the Fairy typing. Okay. They Dragon Dance. That's fine. Because they either go to sleep the next turn. I think that's all right. Yeah, I'm going to go for higher horsepower into Gambit. I guess the question is, are they okay with Feraligatr sleeping? But if they don't, high horsepower Hyper Voice KOs the Gambit because they protect it. So I'm very curious on why they made that decision. Because Trigger, they still have one more turn. I guess they expected to protect and want to protect the Gambit, but even still. All right, I'm going to go Manectric here because I think there could be a Sucker Punch angle into Waterfall into the Manectric. So that's why I'm going out into my Manectric because I think it's very likely that they go for Waterfall plus a Sucker Punch into Sylveon because if I go for Manectric on the other side, that means I would live the Waterfall or Liquidation. Yeah, exactly. They doubled up the Sylveon. That's what I thought that they would do. Perfect. So I get this read right. Had a feeling. They actually did way less than I thought. I got a higher horsepower, KO to Gambit, beautiful, and then Gambit goes down, and now the Feraligatr is gonna go to sleep, and I should be fine. Yeah, I Yawn the Sinistcha, hard swap the Manectric into Sylveon. Yeah, because I don't need Hippowdon healthy, I just need it to be around. So we go for Yawn, and we go into Sylveon. I could Snarl go out in Sylveon, but I want to Intimidate off to make sure that the Feraligatr is a bit under control. So, whew, okay. Okay, the Gambit took quite a bit to actually play around. The Gambit took quite a little bit to play around, but thankfully, we got him on the really important turn is like, who did they target with their Mons? And I had a feeling Feraligatr wasn't likely to switch because they kind of needed that damage. And I thought the Manectric again. Switching for Intimidate was obvious to survive with Sylveon, so I thought, okay, they probably Sucker Punch to cover for that. They go for Machagacha to get a burn on Hippowdon, which is fine. As long as they didn't burn... Okay, they burned the Sylveon, which can make it a bit suspicious, but... Okay, can I lose to this? I think it depends. I think it's really hard to. I think we should be good. I'm a little bit worried that I'm in range of -1 Feraligatr attack now. Because of the burn. I think I should be still fine. But yeah, we're going to go out into Manectric, get Intimidate off. We're going to go for Hyper Voice. Feraligatr might live the Hyper Voice, but that's fine because it's probably in discharge range. Being the Sinistcha could be a little bit difficult though. Being the Sinistcha could actually be difficult now. The problem with the burn is even if, like, I think the Waterfall / Liquidation is already a little bit tough. But we'll see. I get Manectric in. Get Intimidate off. Okay, they say sleep, which is really good for me. Okay, I do get the Hyper Voice. I KO the Feraligatr, finish it super low, and then that should seal it, because even if they go for Machagacha, I just go for Hyper Voice every time. Machagacha, Manectric avoids, acceptable. Because here's the thing, if I was knocking out the Feraligatr with there, and let's say they KO Sylveon with the combination of a Water move plus Machagacha, then I think I just spam Snarl with Manectric, and as long as I'm landing the Snarls, I should be good. I think I have to Snarl too, because I think Thunderbolt's doing a bit too little damage, and I need to like KO to finish up before I can wake up again. So I think it was possible, but yeah. All right, we have Garchomp, Pelipper, Scovillain, Sableye, Scizor, and the Archaludon. Okay, interesting. No Basky Legion on this is definitely something. All right. Is this a Manectric game or is this an Aerodactyl game? It's probably a Manectric game because I can Snarl and I have Lightning Rod, which is really nice here. Scizor is very, very concerning though, because I don't have a fire type. Not having a fire type is pretty bad here, huh? All right. We're going to bring the Manectric, I think. Is this a Manectric Hippowdon angle? Or is this a Manectric Sylveon? But the problem with Sylveon, I don't think Kingambit's that worth. It's only good into, potentially good into the Scizor. I think I need some strong special damage immediately. So I think I'm going to go with Manectric Sylveon. I have Garchomp in the back and Hippowdon. You might be thinking, why am I bringing double ground here? I mean, I do think it's like my best counterplay to Scizor stuff in general. I'm more scared about the Scizor than I am the rest of the team. Archaludon can still be scary though. I may delay my Mega Evolution if I can keep it, but we'll see. This is going to be a tough one, because breaking through Archaludon and Scizor is no easy task, especially with screens up, and they did lead the Scizor. Okay. So I lead Sylveon plus Manectric. Just fine. I'm going to go for a Thunderbolt immediately into the Scizor, and I'm going to go for a Hyper Voice. I need as much damage as I can into the Scizor. They didn't Mega Evolve. Interesting. They go for a Light Screen immediately. That makes sense. It's a Mega Garchomp. Thunderbolt. Good damage. And here's a Hyper Voice. Okay. Roselli Bear is not too surprising here. Kind of surprised they risked that on a potential fire move as well. They do Swords Dance, which is not too surprising. Okay. I think Hippowdon's the least needed member here. Maybe it's Scovillain back. I think we're just gonna go for a Discharge, Mega Evolve, go out into Hippowdon. The reason I didn't want to Mega Evolve is because even though the extra power would have been nice, I don't think it was like game changing here. I think we go out to Hippowdon and click Discharge. I don't know if they're Encore or Disable or one of the two, so I think we go out into Hippowdon here to absorb a Discharge. We also absorb a Bullet Punch pretty easily with Hippowdon if they decide to Bullet Punch that slot. Especially with the Intimidate from the Manectric coming in. They don't have any recovery on their team other than potential Leech Seed on the... What's it called? Okay, they did Bullet Punch. Nice. On the Scovillain. Will-O-Wisp. Okay, that's fine. So it's Will-O-Wisp, Rain Dance, you want to assume... Light Screen. We don't know exactly if it's true coverage, but yeah, we get Discharge. Good damage. Oh, it's Citrus Berry. Okay. I think I need Manectric around so I can make sure that the Archaludon's kind of in check with Snarl. I think we're gonna read a Bug move or a Close Combat potentially. I'm gonna go for a Yawn into the Scizor to try and put it to sleep and switch out a Sylveon on a Bug Bite. They probably just Wisp here and click Okay, they click Protect. That's fine. It means Sylveon doesn't take damage, which is actually kind of nice. They go for Wisp. That's fine. Sylveon could still have value, but am I risking Manectric? I probably risk Manectric. I think risking Manectric's fine. Sableye's taking chip by chip every turn. They might Sword Stance again with the Sizzle. Well, would they? It depends on if I guess they have Disable, because they have to prevent the Yawn from going out into this Scizor, but we're going to click Yawn here and we're going to switch out into Manectric, put that Scizor back to neutral. I wonder if the Scizor's close combat only, because if it's close combat only, they're more inclined to click Bullet Punch probably into the Manectric slot. They retreat to Sableye, that makes sense, into Scovillain, okay. And Bullet Punch, okay, that's best case scenario. Yeah, Manectric eats that, we get a Yawn into the Scizor, and now we're talking, because we can click Discharge and we can click, well, we can click a lot of things. We can click Snarl if we want to into Scovillain. That might not be a bad play here, actually, because we don't know who the last Pokemon is. It's actually interesting. Okay, Moody, attack, special attack drop. Okay, that's fine. It's kind of interesting that they have Wisp on Sableye when they have Scovillain as well, which actually is really something. We're going to go for Yawn into the Scovillain. We're going to go for a Snarl here. I think Scizor, you can't give up Scizor, or your damage output into Sylveon's really low. Sableye? Garchomp. Okay, so Snarl was the best play here, which is good for me at least. They went for Protect. I could have went for Yawn into the Scizor slot, I guess, but I thought they were going to maybe Leech Seed or something, but I guess this is okay. I think I would want to Yawn the Garchomp. I'm trying to think about my best angle. I don't... The problem is the Sableye in the back is kind of annoying. Light Screen wears off on their side. That's fine. Defense Rise, Speedfall. I want to set up Sword Stance Garchomp angle, but it's a little bit tough to do that. I think I still go for a Snarl, and I think I go for a Yawn into the Scovillain slot. Because I want to incentivize the Scovillain to switch out, I think. They're going to Mega Evolve the Scovillain. Okay, makes sense. I didn't think it was Mega Garchomp. I'm trying to build up to a position where I can potentially set up Sylveon in a good spot, or I set up... Oh, okay, it's Scarf. That's fine. If it's Scarf, it makes it harder for me to set up stuff. I had a Yawn off. Wait. Oh, yeah, the speed drop into Scovillain. I was about to say, why am I faster? Speed drop. Leech Seed. I was probably switching out Hippowdon anyway, but that works. Do I go hard Garchomp or do I go hard into Sylveon? I think I go hard into Sylveon first, because they also have a special defense drop with the Scovillain. This could be a double swap. I think I should stay in, actually. If I think it's a double swap, it's more likely I should just stay in. Yeah, I just go for Hyper Voice and I click Yawn into the Garchomp slot. Leech Seed wasn't crazy changing, but it could affect probably the switch order, because it could be Scovillain slot switching out into Scizor, but now it doesn't really matter. They're going to sack probably Sableye. Yep. I don't know if Scovillain's going to switch or not. Okay, they're going to take the Yawn, which is fine. Because I can set up Garchomp in the meantime, that means, which is actually pretty good for me. My only concern is, can I prevent a situation where Scar Dragon Claw Revenge sweeps me guaranteed? I don't think I can. Double Dodge Leech Seed is unfortunate, but Sylveon I was always switching out the next turn, I think. I mean, that's always a little bit less damage I'm taking though, so I am thankful for, because it does matter for Garchomp endgame. But the thing is, I guess what's nice about this slot is they have to go Scizor here. I can always get a Yawn off into the Scizor. So that's something. Because dealing with the Scovillain at +2 defense is the problem. We're going to Garchomp easily and we're clicking Yawn. If they protect, that's fine. I guess if they switch out Scovillain into Garchomp, but I feel like they would have just switched out the Garchomp the previous turn, I think. So we bring out Garchomp. They go for Bullet Punch. Unfortunately, I don't get Rough Skin damage. Rough Skin would have been nicer in this situation, but yeah, we go for Yawn. Now, I think I yawn the Scizor slot and I go for Swords Dance. Because I need to boost so I can beat the Scovillain and the Scizor with an EQ. So I'm going to go for Yawn. Actually, I just realized the extra HP on the Scovillain definitely would have mattered for the calcs. But let's see. They do retreat to Scizor. This is out into the Garchomp. I could have Dragon Clawed, but I don't think it's worth the risk here. I'm going to set up a Sword Stance, because this incentivizes them to click Dragon Claw into that slot. Okay, get a Yawn off. Scovillain asleep, that's good. I think Scovillain's guaranteed to wake up this turn. I think they go for... They either Rage Powder Dragon Claw, or they're going to Rage Powder Swap up here. But I still think I always go Sylveon and I click Yawn into the Scovillain. Super long drawn out game from Hippowdon, but this matchup was already pretty tough, I think. So I'm doing my best to try and mitigate this. Yeah, they don't switch out their Garchomp. That makes sense. I bring up the Sylveon because I could protect theoretically, but I don't have protect. Yep, they Dragon Clawed in that slot. Beautiful. Oh, the speed drop actually matters here. 3 Elite Seeds in a row. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. So the Garchomp's asleep now, which makes my own Garchomp pretty reasonable to win the game. Hyper Voice is going to do a lot. Do I high horsepower double it up? If they switch out the Garchomp, I don't know. They might just try to keep Scizor around. I'm going to double up the Scovillain, I think. Hyper Voice did a lot. I think high horsepower maybe could KO. And yeah, they stay in because they read a Yawn into the Scizor because I've been yawning that slot the entire time. I get the KO into Garchomp. That's good. And now my Garchomp's actually in a nice spot, potentially. I should Yawn, though, actually. I think Yawn was better. High horsepower is going to miss the KO. Yep. You go for Elite Seed and Hippowdon. That's fine. Oh, this is a close one because Scizor could still actually beat me in the end game if they get the call right. I'm thinking like it's likely that they go for... It's either Bullet Punch or Sword Stance, and I gotta get the call kind of right, I think. Or do I have to get the call right? Maybe I don't. Yeah, I have to get the call right, I think. Scizor in. Okay, if they Swords Dance with Scizor, I get the Hyper Voice and a Yawn off because Hyper Voice KOs the Scovillain. If they Bullet Punch, then that's fine because they don't have enough firepower to break through my Garchomp quickly enough. But I can protect Yawn as well. But I think I go for Yawn and I go for Hyper Voice. Let's see. Because they could Rage Powder or Sword Stance. Okay, they do go for the Bullet Punch. They didn't Rage Powder though, which I'm very shocked by actually. Did they Leech Seed again? I say Leech Seeded. Okay. Yawn into the Scizor. Granted, I don't know if I win. Yeah, they Leech Seeded again. Okay. I guess it depends on what the Scizor thinks that I can do here. I don't have Protect. If I had Protect, I would go for Protect. But we're going out into Garchomp. This is where Poison Jab's actually really hurtful to have here because Poison Jab doesn't knock out the +2 Scovillain because it's +2 defense. Yeah, maybe I should have protected and just yawned. Protect Yawn would have been the play there. Alright. Let's yawn and Swords Dance, because like I don't have another angle. Earthquake doesn't KO either of these Pokemon. I would have to hope for a double crit. I think I'd rather play on a misplay from my opponent's end or not having Bug Bite, and they don't have Bug Bite, it looks like, so I do get the Swords Dance off, which is kind of huge actually. Okay. Huge Swords Dance. This one's so close, because they're going to lead seed the Garchomp. Yep. Oh, this end game is so close, because I don't know if Garchomp wins this against Scovillain. What's my best odds here? They have Overheat. Overheat will knock out the Garchomp with Leech Seed. I think I just gotta go for Earthquake. Yeah, I don't think I still win against the Scovillain, unfortunately. I tried, but it's like... I do not beat this Mon, really, with this. I can go for Protect, but... The thing is, this Scovillain is just going to heal way more HP. I just got to hope for an Overheat dodge, probably on the Garchomp, or hope that they don't have it for some reason. Or that they Protect. Why did they Protect? Wait, hold on. Protect was a toss, I think. Was it? I wanted to not risk the Scizor waking up. Scizor goes down. I need to hope for a 2-turn sleep anyway on the Scovillain. Is my best play to EQ? Self EQ, or is it to Swords Dance? I wish I didn't protect Hippowdon. If I didn't protect Hippowdon, I shouldn't have protected Hippowdon. The reason I shouldn't have protected Hippowdon is because I could get a single target Earthquake off into Scovillain every time, and I'm giving it Leech Seed recovery. I think I just gotta hope for a Swords Dance and then Poison Jab to KO, which is... I guess now I might be mocking if Poison Jab was actually worth it or not, but yeah, we Swords Dance and we're gonna go for a high horsepower, I suppose. Garchomp could win, I guess, but this is kind of close. I don't think +4 Poison Jab is KOing +2 Scovillain, because it's going to be back to full HP after the Leech Seeds. I needed to Earthquake my own Hippowdon there. If I Earthquaked my own Hippowdon, I didn't think they would protect Scovillain in that position. I thought he would always Overheat, but... Did I ever reveal Swords Dance? No, I did reveal Swords Dance in this game. So I didn't think they would risk me Swords Dancing up again. Alright. +4 Poison Jab and high horsepower. Let's see. If they wake up, I mean, Garchomp still will have a chance to get a KO into the Scovillain. So let's see. Moment of truth. Is Poison Jab worth it? Okay. They wake up, they go for Protect. Single target Earthquake is weaker than Poison Jab, so this is still better. Actually, maybe this is still a better play because I just realized, yeah, Poison Jab is stronger than the single target Earthquake by barely. Although giving the Scovillain more HP recovery, I guess it wouldn't have changed too much. Timer's getting close to the end of the game, but I mean, I still go for Poison Jab, high horsepower, regardless. Unfortunately, they get a chance for a 30% double protect or 33% double protect angle. Did they get it? Or did we get to see if we actually KO or not? Because that could be a big deal. There could also be Overheat dodge if like high horsepower is like a Poison Jab barely misses a knockout. You could also get a poison. There's so much that could go on here. This end This endgame. All right, let's see. Okay, they failed a double. That's huge. We get a poison jab attempt off. Oh, it's not enough unless I get the poison. Spicy spray. No poison. I need to crit. Or I guess crit wasn't enough. Let's go villain. Scizor. It was too rough. It wasn't too bad, I think, if the Moody, but we also did get lucky with the Leech Seed dodges. But I guess, like, if they didn't get the defense boost, it was, like, so much easier to handle the Scovillain, where the Leech Seed misses might not even matter as long as I could have KO'd it quick earlier. But yeah, this was a rough one. I don't think there was much I could do otherwise. Like, maybe a few micro decisions, but I don't think they would have been enough to actually win. All right, we have Farigiraf, King Gambit, Azumarill, Drampa, Sneasler, and Sinistra. Okay, we got Trick Room stuff, which is pretty playable. Yeah, this is pretty playable. The question is, what am I leading here? Am I going King Gambit or am I leading... I don't know. I think Sylveon is a pretty good lead with Hippowdon. I want to lead Hippowdon because I want the idea to pressure the Sneasler Farigiraf lead, if that's going to be a lead that comes up. It also pressures King Gambit plus Sneasler lead, which is also another one I could definitely see my opponent going for. I think having King Gambit back is pretty nice because the Kowtows will be pretty effective once I get rid of Farigiraf. And then I think Garchomp is the last. It's kind of funny. I'm just not bringing the Megas, but the Megas are just never good into the Trick Room matchup. Like, they really are just never good into the Trick Room matchup. So let's see what we can do here. I think Hippowdon can stall nicely, but... Azumarill could be a bit scary if set up properly. Yeah, okay, so they lead Azumarill for Farigiraf. I could have went for a King Gambit lead, but I think this is still fine as we lead the Hippowdon plus the Sylveon. I cannot risk them getting a Swords Dance up ever, so I think I have to go for Hyper Voice here and the high horsepower into the Azumarill. If they go for Liquidation, that's gonna hurt. I think Hippowdon could maybe live one, but it's not like the best spot to be in. But yeah, we're gonna go for high horsepower Hyper Voice. Okay, no Protects, not surprising. Azumarill wasn't like heavily threatened here. Okay, Liquidation comes out. Also, it's faster than Hippowdon, which is surprising. Okay, Hippowdon ate that actually. Bad defense drop. Bad defense drop. We get a high horsepower into Azumarill. All right. This Shuriken goes up. Okay, bad defense drop on Hippowdon. Sand. No citrus on either of these Pokemon is surprising. I guess it's on the Sinistra. It's not Belly Drum Azumarill. It has Liquidation. Helping on Liquidation could be scary, but I don't really have much of a counterplay here. I think I just gotta go for a Hyper Voice and I gotta hard swap Hippowdon. I gotta preserve it. Or I could Protect, but the thing is, I probably have to switch out any... Actually, should I just get the extra leftovers recovery now? I probably should. The problem is I can go for Helping Hand, Play Rough into the Sylveon, but we'll see. Okay, they went for Liquidation again because they do have to respect Hippowdon. Hippowdon's actually kind of annoying for them to break through. So that's why I was thinking maybe they target Hippowdon. I get it right. It's just a call there. Hyper Voice into Sylveon. I do get my own Hyper Voice off for a lot of damage. So I get rid of their lead, which is nice, but they have 3 turns of Trick Room to work with. However, I get to see what they bring out, and I have Moths that are just faster in the back guaranteed. So if I sell out these turns of Trick Room, I should be in a good spot, but the question is, where are their backs? Is it Drampa plus King Gambit? Sinistra, okay. Sneasler. Not what I expected their back to be. I'm just gonna detect with my Sylveon and... Curious what they go for here. They don't have a super safe play. If I get rid of Sneasler, I win with King Gambit. If I get rid of the Sinistra, I win with Garchomp or any of the fighting types. So, yeah, let's just say it's definitely an interesting one. I think I'm going to go for a Yawn into the Sinistra because the Sand breaks a Sash on Sneasler. I'm not too worried about that. I don't think they fake out that Hippowdon either. They probably go for like fake out. Okay, they fake out my Hippowdon and Gacha. That's fine. Do I want to go Garchomp here? Yeah, I do. Because once Trick Room is over, I have Kowtow to threaten the Sinistra, which I think is worth it. If I switch in Gambit now, I risk Gacha burn, which is why I'm not going into it. I think I just go for Hyper Voice and Dragon Claw. It should be pretty safe here. I don't think they click Rage Powder here. If they click Rage Powder here, it's still fine because they didn't Gacha. If they protect, that's fine. I can EQ the next turn. I can EQ plus Hyper Voice, which isn't too bad. Okay, they go for Gacha. Sylveon dodges, but not the Sandvale Chomp. Sure. Okay, that's not too surprising. I do get a Hyper Voice off. I think I just Earthquake plus Hyper Voice the next turn. Good damage to Sinistra. They go for a double. Gacha doesn't KO Sylveon at this range because we dodged earlier. But yeah, we just go for Hyper Voice plus an EQ now. Because we would want to KO Sneasler so Gambit wins in the back, so that's what we're aiming for here. Yeah, interesting. I guess I didn't want the Sneasler to go down to a potential high horsepower or anything, but Sylveon would have still done a lot of damage. Oh, they get a double protect. Okay. So the game's not over yet. They crit the Garchomp. That's actually really bad crit. Although the game's nowhere near over, I suppose. Hyper Voice. This is kind of a call. Oh, okay. A bit unlucky here, but I mean, they did go for the outs. Sand subsides, Trick Room's over. I think I still win. Do I still win, question mark? It kind of depends on who they target, I think. I'm trying to think if there's a line here, because if the Sinistra has Trick Room, this could get a bit weird. I think I just protect Earthquake, get the damage off into Sneasler, as I think they Dire Claw the Sylveon because it probably does more damage. Yeah. The question is, what did the Sinistra click? Because the Sylveon was in range, or the Sinistra was in range of Sylveon's Hyper Voice. I imagine they want to respect the Sylveon a lot here. Did they Trick Room? Did they have Trick Room? Life Dew is fine. Okay. If it's Life Dew, I'm pretty sure I win with my Gambit. Assuming things don't go horribly here. I don't know, this could be a protect angle, which is fine. It's kind of like a call here. Because they can go for a Dire Claw and a Sylveon, or they can protect a Sneasler. Both make sense here. I think I'm just going to Hyper Voice, and I'm going to go for Dragon Claw into the Sneasler. Okay, they went for Dire Claw, so I could have Earthquaked myself. Because if they think I'm going to self-Earthquake, they could protect the Sneasler and let me KO my own Sylveon. I still think that this is probably still a win, but it's close. Oh, they went for Life Dew again. Interesting play. No, I think they guarantee lose off that. Okay, cool. Because I can go out into my King Gambit, and with the Supreme Overlord, I should be able to KO stuff with Kowtow. So we're going to Kowtow to Sinistra, and we're going to go for a Dragon Claw into the Sneasler. Let's see. Is this Rage Powder? I guess the Sinistra protects. Even if they protect Sinistra, it's still kind of a call. Like the worst they can do is protect Sinistra, and then it's like a call on the Sneasler. But if you do that, you lose. Okay, yeah, they Rage Powder for like Sucker Punch and stuff. Nice. They go for close combat. They also lower the defenses, so I think I'm fine here. Because I threaten Sucker Punch, I also threaten Dragon Claw at this point into the Sneasler, and I'm pretty sure we know the Sinistra isn't the Cobra Berry, because the Giraffe should be Cobra Berry. If it's not Citrus Berry, like you only run Cobra Berry on Giraffe. Here's Kowtow. We KO Sinistra, and yeah, now we win the game guaranteed, because now we can get a Dragon Claw into a Iron Head, and that 100% seals it here. So we're going to go for Iron Head, we're going to go for Dragon Claw. Because they have to close combat the Gambit again to take the knockout. I guess if they have Rock Slide... Well, actually, if they have Rock Slide, I should have suckered. I would have KO'd anyway. Okay, they protect, that's fine. Because they're getting more burn damage on the Chomp. Well, actually, do we know? No, we know it's full moveset. We know it's Fake Out. We know it's Dire Claw. We know it's close combat. We know it's protect. It can't be Rock Slide. We already know that. So technically, this play is still fine. But I guess we Sucker Punch now. We can still Sucker Punch because we win the Sucker Punch war anyway, because the Sneasers reveal protect multiple times, so they can't stall out Sucker Punch power points anyway, so yeah. I mean, regardless, they lost anyway, because the only way they can knock out the King Gambit is through close combat, which means if they close combat the Gambit, that means that they're -2 defense, which means my Dragon Claw easily KOs. But yeah, Sucker Punch also KOs. There was like, it wasn't technically misplay, there was no bad option for me. I still won the game regardless. Like, it didn't change anything at all at that point. Like, I was getting a KO on Sneasler regardless because we saw the full moveset, which means they couldn't win. Okay, so how was the team? I'm not sure if the Aerodactyl Hippowdon mode was exactly amazing, but I did really like Hippowdon on itself generally, just because the yawn pressure was actually pretty good. Like, Hippowdon was kind of able to stick around on the field. Super annoying for like a bunch of the bulky Pokemon, like the Garchomp, the King Gambit, those really physically offensive Pokemon that are hard to knock out generally. Sneasler, like, it was able to actually kind of stick around and do its thing, and just its high physical defense in general is just able to help out a lot. And the Yawn Disruption, the ground coverage, of course, is just really neat, as well as Sandstream for constant chip damage. I think it was solid. Manectric, I don't know if it was the best secondary mega on this team, and I did really dislike not having the fire coverage as we saw against the Scizor, which that one was quite difficult to be able to handle. But I do think the team overall did have a lot of fun points. I'm not sure about Protectless Garchomp on a setup Garchomp. I don't think Poison Jab was as necessary, as Protect would have been nice in some scenarios, especially as the only setup mon on your team, especially since you could go for a double Protect with Hippowdon and Garchomp after they've been yawned, and that could have been really nice to have in some cases. But I do think that there were some pretty nice points about this team. If you'd like to try it out, you could check it out with the replica code right here. You could also check out the creator down below description, and of course subscribe to the channel for more VGC content as always.